What's up, guys? I'm JJ,
I'm Angel.
and this is PM Football. We're going to continue on with our draft talk. We have our offensive top 10 players video out. It's only right if we go to the top 10 defensive players in this draft.
Absolutely. And we're basing this strictly off of talent. This isn't necessarily based on position or draft needs from the top 10 teams picking the draft. This is strictly talent and ability from the defensive players in this year's class.
Yeah. So with that being said, the number one player on our board, and I think the consensus number one player in this draft currently, Abdul Carter, defensive end out of Penn State.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter was an off-ball linebacker to start the season last year. They decided to strictly move him to the defensive end position, and he wanted to do that to improve his draft stock. Boy, has he ever improved his draft stock.
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
dude has speed, bend, explosiveness, you name it from a defensive end position. This guy can do it.
Yeah, to me, I don't know about you or anyone else. To me, my comparison for him is TJ Watt. That's a pretty good comparison.
A defensive player of the year.
Yeah, if you want to be compared to a defensive player, it doesn't really get much better than that. Like you said, just his explosiveness and speed off the ball. It's very rare you don't see that a lot. His bend, his mobility, his ankle flexion, hip flexion, like that stuff you can't coach. That all just I don't want to say natural because I know he's worked on it, but like it's just very rare to see someone have it to that kind of level.
And like I mentioned, like he was playing off-ball linebacker. So naturally, moving to the defensive end position, you're going to add weight to your frame.
Mm-hmm.
He did that and didn't lose a single step with when he was 20 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
It is just such a great skill to have when you have that type of speed and bend at that position. That dude can... I'm trying to think of an analogy to use, but I can't even think of one because he's just such a natural athlete and just has great explosiveness. Now, if I had to nitpick him on one little thing, I would say his inside run. But, that's nitpicking at the most because he does make plays on the inside run.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, it was very hard to talk about weaknesses with everyone on this list because they're so highly rated. They're all so talented that when you're ranking these guys, you do have to nitpick on certain things. But like you said, like he could work more on his inside run. But as an edge player, that's not necessarily your biggest concern.
Yeah, you're more so worried about setting the edge.
Send the edge again to the quarterback, running back, whatever it may be. Don't get me wrong, it is important that for him to have a good inside run and have the ability to cut inside and, go head to head with a guard if he needs to. However, like that's all stuff that's very coachable. It's not like he's bad at it. We would just like to see him improve on it more.
Yeah. No, very much so agree. Number 2 on our board, we have Jalen Walker. Now,
Yes.
Jalen Walker might surprise a bunch of people that we have him this high, but strictly talent alone. On our big board, Jalen Walker has as much talent as anybody in this draft.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. He's such a compelling player because that's not what you would say is his natural position. He was more of a defensive end, but they dropped him at linebacker this year, and
Due to injury.
Yeah, and it just came natural to him. He's so good. Just his versatility, his speed, his coverage ability, what he does in the blitz game, his patience, his coverage, just all of it, all combined into one. I would say his comparison for me is Micah Parsons. And if you disagree, watch the film. You move him around like he's a chess piece, just like what Dan Quinn did with Micah and also Coach Zimmer did with Micah. Like, you move him and use him as a chess piece, and it just disrupts an offense entirely.
Yeah, no, Jalen Walker is such a fun player to watch. He has elite speed from that linebacker and defensive end position. Now, I will say that speed not really hurts him, but he uses it too much. When I have to nitpick him, again, we're nitpicking when it comes to these types of players. I just want to see him refine that his pass rush moves. Now, that's going to sound stupid, but, we have to nitpick him a little bit.
But know that when you're in the league, guess what? Everyone's fast. Everyone's mobile.
And those tackles at the next level have seen that.
Exactly.
They're not
So
going to get
when
beat by that.
when we say refine your pass rush moves, we're not saying slow it down, working moves. Like no, still use your speed, still use your ability. But when you get, we like to see more swim moves, more spin moves. We would like to
Throwing a spin move.
yeah, we would like to see you utilize more tools to get past your tackles or guards.
Because a lot of times, currently, with what his game is he just uses his speed and ducks under
Yeah,
the arm.
and that works in SEC. Like, don't get me wrong, like that's great to have. However, when you get to the league, you do need a little bit more to get past those offensive linemen.
Yeah. Moving on to number 3, we have Travis Hunter. Now, this may seem a little low, the majority of people.
Yeah.
Or at least I'll say in my case, I really like Travis Hunter's game. I
Yeah,
think
I do too.
he's a great man-to-man coverage corner. He has great ball skills, which I think probably is his best skill. He is an elite ball hawk. I mean it translates over because he plays receiver, so he knows what to do when the ball's in the air.
Yeah.
He will make a play on the ball on the offensive side or the defensive side. And the other thing that I really, really like about Travis Hunter is his change of direction. He's able to break on a ball that he may have got beat on a route a little bit. He can plant his feet in the ground, change his direction, and get to where the ball is thrown.
Yeah, kind of just tagging along to what you're saying. He's just a freak athlete. Like you said, his change of direction, you don't see that a lot in players. Just his fluidity when he runs, the way he's able to break on balls. Again, his ball skills are elite, probably the best ball skills in the entire class. And his man-to-man coverage, like he knows he's that dude. He knows he has the speed and recovery speed really to be able to play man-to-man. However,
He's super aggressive.
he is. At times, that can hurt him. If you watch his film, there are times where he gets beat. There are times where he may get mossed. Someone runs a clean route and just gets the better of him. I think a lot of that comes from, like you said, being over aggressive at times. And at corner, you don't necessarily need to be over aggressive all the time. It's good to be aggressive. However, there are times where you just want to make sure you secure your assignment, you secure your man, you secure whatever zone you're in. Just make sure either the ball doesn't come your way, or if it does come your way, that you're not necessarily looking to make that crazy play. You just want to make sure that receiver doesn't get the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sitting here saying we're telling him to be less aggressive.
No, not at all.
His aggression is one of the better parts of his game. That's what makes Travis Travis. That ball hawking ability is because he is so aggressive. Mm-hmm. We're just saying there are times where he's over aggressive and it hurts him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Moving on to number 4, this is one of my favorite players in the entire draft.
Yeah.
Is Mykel Williams out of Georgia. He is just an explosive athlete.
Yes. I know we kind of we say freak athlete kind of often, especially when we have top 10s like this, but he truly, like, pound for pound, one of the best athletes in the entire class.
Yeah, Mykel shows great power when he's rushing. He does a lot of speed to power moves. I'd like to see him use a little bit more pass rush moves because he is so powerful and fast. Mm-hmm. You can't really stray away from that at the college level. Yeah. Now, I think with good coaching, very easily can add to his repertoire of his pass rush moves.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing for me of Mykel is his versatility. They lined him up at defensive tackle a lot throughout the season because they had a Jalen Walker.
More of that, like, inside shade in between.
More of that, like, 3
guard and tackle for sure. Yeah.
But because they had a Jalen Walker and they wanted both of them on the same side to create that mismatch for teams, they would line him up at D tackle. And he plays with such great leverage where he is so powerful and is able to get underneath the guards, even though he is 6'5". Yeah. Like, he can play so much lower than what you would expect out of a player like him.
I completely agree. His leverage, his powers, he utilizes it so well. However, kind of similar to Jalen Walker, the guys at the next level, they've seen that, they've been through that. We would like to see you kind of polish your rush skills more, not your pass rush skills more.
Yeah.
Like to see more swims, more rips, more spin. Just add a little more to your game, because everyone in the NFL is really athletic. So we would like to see you kind of utilize your tools more when it comes to pass rushing.
A player that really comes to mind when I'm watching him, not only just because he's from Georgia, but is Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker ended up being the first pick in that draft.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here saying Michael's going to be the first pick in the draft, but because of that versatility to move around the defensive line and the power and size and speed, a team is going to fall in love with him.
Absolutely.
And it is just such an easy transition to the next level when you have all of those skills.
Yeah, no, I like Michael a lot.
Yeah. Moving on to number 5, we have Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. He was hurt a lot this year.
Yeah.
So there isn't too much film on him outside of the games he did play this year. And even when you're watching the games he did play in, there's not much film on him because they just did not throw his way. Mm-hmm. Teams were scared to attack Will Johnson. He has great size. He's 6'2", 205, I believe, and has great he's really good at breaking on the ball. His hip mobility is one of the best out of a corner that I've seen in the last couple seasons. And like I said, it's just really hard to watch his film because they don't throw his way that often.
Yeah, and I think part of that has to do with, and my favorite part about him, is his IQ. He is one of the smartest and most experienced corners and just overall defenders in this entire class. He understands when to bite, when to give the receiver a little more room so he is able to bite. And a lot of his ability to do that, like you said, is his hip mobility. He's great at breaking on the ball. He's very fluid as a runner. If there is anything we can nitpick on, we have questions about his recovery speed. But I think a big reason why we even have questions on that is because, like you said, they don't necessarily throw his way, so we can't really judge him on his recovery speed.
The thing where we come in with speed about a weakness for him is we're comparing him to Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
like,
just naturally you have to.
You have to because those are the 2 top corners in this draft.
Yeah.
Travis, by far, is more the speed guy when it comes to the corner position.
Yeah.
So, in turn, it makes Will Johnson look a little slower. And
He's not slow by any means.
There is times where, like, I remember a specific play where he has a pick, and even on his return, he doesn't look that fast. And I know that's nothing really to bat an eye at, but, like, I would just be worried about his speed a slight bit because of, like you said, the recovery speed. In case he were to get beat, I think they beat him. Like, I don't think he has that ability to recover.
Yeah, and, like, that, I mean, as a rookie, there's a good chance we see that right off the bat. Corner is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, position to transition from college to the NFL level. So, I mean, he's going to get tested right off the bat when he gets into the league. So we'll see how good or not good his recovery speed is pretty quickly.
Number 6, we're moving on to Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. This dude plays with great leverage. I know this might seem a little low, but we both have a little bit of a question mark about Mason Graham.
Yeah, I want to start off with the strengths. Like you said, his power leverage, super strong, dude. Has great base, very disruptive run stopper. But you did bring up the weaknesses. There are times on film where he loses his one-on-one. And I'm not going to rip a guy losing one-on-one. It happens. However, I can rip it when people have you rated higher, as highly as he is rated.
As a top 5 pick.
Exactly. Like, I think it is fair at that point to look at some of those one-on-one losses in games and be like, hey, does a top 5 pick really lose those one-on-one matchups? And I'm not talking about, like, he's going against, let's say, like Kelvin Banks or Will Johnson. Like, no, these are, don't get me wrong, talented offensive linemen. But it's guys might be Will Campbell, but it's guys you expect him to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and not only that, another one for me is Pearson or splitting the double teams. Again, there are times where you're projected the top 5 pick. I would like to see you be more disruptive when there are double teams on you.
I would say more so in the pass game.
Yeah.
It is more prevalent when it comes to the double teams. I would say he's a very disruptive run stopper, though. When going back to strengths,
it was one of our strengths. Yeah.
One of our strengths. Again, I've mentioned leverage. This dude is, I think he's 6'4", 305-ish. He plays with great leverage, can get underneath guards. He has great power, and the only thing that really concerns me about him, and I know this is going to sound dumb, but he plays with Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant right now is being talked about as a first-round pick as well. And I know Michael and Jalen, same scenario. I think they're in a little bit of a different boat, though.
Yeah, I would take those two over the other two. Yeah.
But Kenneth Grant is also being talked about a first-round pick, and we're sitting here talking about Mason Graham not being great with the double team. Kenneth Grant is there he's bigger than you.
Yeah.
He's taking up a lot of the double teams.
Yeah.
So when it is your turn to get double teamed, you need to be able to beat them.
Yeah, and especially like he moves well. He really does move very well, which is why it is surprising at times to see him lose those 1-on-1s in pass rush or see him get blown off the line in double teams. Like you move so well one play, like you would like to see more consistency when it comes to those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. Number 7 on our board, we have Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks is a very, very fun player. First off the bat, just straight speed. Malachi Starks is one of the fastest guys in this draft. Very aggressive tackler.
Great closing speed as well. Sorry, I wanted to add that.
No,
But,
continue.
No, great. Like I said, great closing speed, and I do like you said his tackling. He secures his tackles. He's very aggressive, and as a safety, those are all things you love to see out of your safety.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about Malachi Starks is, as a safety being talked about this high in the draft, majority of those times, those safeties are ball hawks.
Yeah,
Because they get those flashy interceptions, and it's kind of like, I'm blanking on his name, Nick, he's
Out of
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina, yeah.
That dude is a pick six machine. Malachi Starks isn't necessarily that type of a player. He's a super aggressive tackling, great in coverage too. I'm not going to knock him on coverage. Although I do think that's more so of his weakness, if I had to say anything. I think the problem with Malachi Starks would be, for me, is his eye discipline. There's a play in specific that I'm thinking of is when they were playing Texas in the SEC championship game, and it's when Matthew Golden's running a wheel route. He's in motion. They're in cover 2. He's running the wheel up the sideline, and the corner doesn't play deep enough, and he has to get over, and Ewers just hits a hole shot. He was flat-footed on that. He needs to have his eyes on Quinn and know that ball is supposed to be going there.
or just even knowing that there's a threat, like there could possibly be a threat there.
Yeah.
Of course, that all comes down to schematics and play calling, but like you would like to see a top-rated safety at least be aware that, hey, there could be a wheel route coming right this way, depending on, of course, what the play call was.
Yeah, and again, I think that is just nitpicking with him.
Yeah.
He's a super uber aggressive, athletic tackling safety in the short of things.
Yeah,
with
for
great
sure.
speed.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very fun player to watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anything else you want to add on him?
Not really. I thought we both covered it very well. Number 8, Shamar Stewart. Right off the bat, for me, the things I liked most about him was his power and his motor. You would know more about his size, but huge dude.
6'6", 290. When
There
you
you
turn
go.
on the tape of Shamar Stewart,
Yeah.
he doesn't look that big.
No.
But then you go back and you see that this dude is 6'6", 290, and that he moves like this at
Yeah.
that size.
Moves very well, and I would say one of the best edge setters in this entire class.
I think he might be the best edge setter in this draft.
Yeah.
If it weren't, maybe Michael, but again, he played a lot of inside this year. I don't want to talk about Michael while we're talking about Shamar, but Shamar is just, again, a lot of the defensive ends in this class all have the same type of talent, like same type of like traits.
A lot of similar attributes.
Yeah, power, speed, motor. Those are 3 main things you need when you're playing defensive end. And this dude has
and
all
if you could
3.
do that at an elite level, like it's only better for you. I do have some things I may want to knock him on. My biggest red flag for him is that I feel like he doesn't get to the quarterback at the rate that he should.
Now, I think what you're trying to say is his finishing. Because he
Yes.
does get to the
Yes,
quarterback.
thank you. As an edge rusher, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid for your
To sack the
sacks.
quarterback, yeah.
How often do you get to the quarterback? It's the same thing with receivers and getting touchdowns or catches, quarterbacks and touchdowns. As an edge rusher, what is your main goal to get to the quarterback? I feel like there was a lot of times where, like you said, he's right there. He's an inch or 2 away, and he's just not finishing. I would like to see that a lot more out of him at the next level.
Yeah. I mean, Shamar Stewart, like you just mentioned, he only had 1.5 sacks this year.
Yeah.
That's kind of concerning.
I would say very concerning when it would be one thing if you were projected to go like in second or third round. Like a lot of people have him, including us, have him going a lot sooner. Again, like you're going to get paid based on how you finish.
Now, I will say, when you are watching his tape, you would think this dude has 10 sacks.
Yeah, because he's so close. That's what's really frustrating is that he's right there, and it's very frustrating when he doesn't finish because like almost every play he's right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with that knock. But I just think that his pros way more outweigh his cons in terms of finishing. I think that at the next level could be very easily coached into a player. It might just be an aiming point issue where
Could be, yeah.
is just not even taught that, to be honest with you. Like, he might not have been taught that and just needs to refine. I mean, this dude was a 5-star coming out of high school.
yeah,
He was one of the most highly rated players coming out of high school. Continued to do that at the college level. I don't know. I don't see why he can't continue to do that at the NFL level.
I see your point.
Moving on to number 9, we got Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. This dude was a very quick riser, I think, on a lot of people, especially us.
So, like you said, the reason I even watched him in the first place is because he was rising so much. So I'm like, all right, I have to see what this dude's about, and I completely agree. I like this dude a lot. Speed is elite. Tackling ability is amazing. He's great at blitz, but he's as equally good, if not better, in coverage. Which is, if you could do that as a linebacker, you're gonna make a lot of money in this league.
Yeah.
If you could be an elite in coverage, which I think he is.
Yeah. No, Jahad Campbell is a speed demon when it comes to the linebacking position, and he's a thumper.
He is.
This dude will lay the boom on you.
Absolutely, great tackler. If I can knock him on something, it would be I would like him to work on his block shedding. A lot of times when you watch his film, when an offensive lineman has their hands on him, he's pretty much blocked. Like, he does have difficulty shedding blocks and getting off blockers. But I think that's something that could be coached. I think if you have a good linebackers coach and a good defensive coordinator, they'll be able to teach you some of those things, as well as some veterans in the locker room.
Especially with the athleticism and the agility that this dude already has.
Exactly.
I think if he has the brains to be able to learn it, he can easily do it because he definitely has the ability to.
Yeah. No, but this is definitely a guy where like his pros vastly outweighs his cons.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Jahad Campbell is a very, I would say, probably the highest riser in this draft so far.
One of them for sure.
Like, outside of Gray Zabel, maybe.
Yeah.
Who might have had the best Senior Bowl out of anybody, but besides the point, Jahad Campbell, very fun player to watch.
Absolutely.
Finally, with our last player on our big board, Jahdae Barron.
Yep.
Again, this is going to sound a little biased for me. He's a nickel out of Texas, and I think that's going to scare a lot of people away, is that he strictly played nickel. You could say the same thing about Mikey Sanders still last year at Michigan.
Yes, but I would even say from the film I've seen, there are clips of him playing outside, and he plays it well. So I would even necessarily say it is a concern that he is so-called strictly a nickel, because we've seen him on the outside, and we've seen him do his job at a very high level and do it well. Yeah. So I really love his coverage ability. He stays on his blockers. You could tell he stares at the hip, and he's just in the receiver's pocket most of the time.
Ball skills are
great.
Probably the best part of his game. He had 5 picks this season.
Yeah, no, he has really great ball skills.
Yeah.
And his hip flexion, change of direction, like all that is very good from him. So, yeah, no, he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he raises a little bit more on some boards.
Yeah,
sure.
I think a couple draft people already have him as their number. I've seen a couple people say he's their number 1 corner.
I mean, the tools he has could translate very well into the NFL. We do have some weaknesses of his that we would like to nitpick. My biggest one personally is there are times he's a little too conservative as a corner. What I mean by that is, let's say for instance, it's like a 2nd and 6. In my opinion, he gives up a little too much field to where now it's a 3rd and 1. Where I feel like if he's a little more aggressive in man-to-man and on the line, willing to press, that 2nd one could either be incomplete or maybe it's a 3rd and 3 and gives the defense a much bigger chance to get off the field.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest weakness for him, just at times playing a little too conservative. I would like to see him press a little more and be a little more aggressive at corner.
Now, watching his film, when you're watching him, you don't really think he's the biggest guy in the world. He kind of looks on the smaller side when you're watching him. He's 5'11", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really look like that, to be honest with you.
No, but you would, if you would prefer a little more size height wise with that. But again, it's not necessarily a knock.
And I think if I had to knock him on anything else, I don't think he has the best speed.
No,
I think he's I'm not saying slow by any means.
No,
he's
no,
not
no,
slow,
no.
but I think if he had a little bit more speed, we'd be very easily talking about this guy.
him with like Travis Hunter and Will Johnson.
And I mean, we have him 10th out of all the defensive players
Yeah.
in this draft, so
Still
we
very
we
good.
still think of this guy very highly.
We do, yeah.
But back to the overarching thing of him, he has such good ball skills. 5 picks. You don't just walk into 5 picks.
Yeah. At Texas, like you work for that. That doesn't just happen.
Yeah. So overall, those are our top 10 players
On the defense.
on the defensive side of the ball in the draft so far.
Yeah,
This
this is bound to change. It's not set in stone. It's a big board. Every big board changes. NFL big board changes. The more film you watch of other players and of the players you already have, it's bound to change.
Thanks for watching all this other draft content that we've put out.
Yeah, thank you for getting us to 1K views on the mock draft. We really appreciate it, especially being the young channel that we are, not really experienced in the internet
Yeah.
space. We are experienced in actual football, but when it comes to like videos and stuff, not so much.
We aren't very
technical.
technical, and we don't really have the resources to have somebody do this for us.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure it out on our own.
yeah.
You guys just saw in this video that I was able to put highlights over this. This is the first time I was able to do that.
yeah.
So I hope you guys like that, and if you do, let us know, and I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. Let us know if there's any other kind of videos you would like to see us do. Like, we're very open to those kind of things.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Please like, subscribe, share the video. Follow us on TikTok at PM Football Podcast and follow us on Twitter at PM Football Podcast. And we hope you enjoyed the video. Again, comment, let us know what you would like to see.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys. See you next week.
So yeah.